What if all those physical symptoms you've been feeling lately weren't signs of illness, but unequivocal evidence that your soul is already awakening to a higher dimension? Perhaps you've noticed it: strange vibrations in your body, pains that appear and disappear without apparent cause, sudden temperature changes, or an unusual sensitivity to what's happening around you. For a long time, we were taught that the physical is simply biology, and that the spiritual dwells on a separate plane. But what if that division was an illusion? What if the body isn't a boundary, but the most powerful channel for accessing higher realities? Spiritual awakening doesn't always begin with visions, synchronicities, or moments of enlightenment. It often begins with the body, with small, seemingly unrelated signals, but when observed from another perspective, they reveal a profound truth. You are changing. You are being prepared to vibrate at a different, more subtle, more luminous frequency. And this change doesn't occur only in the soul, it occurs in every cell, every system, every fiber of your physical being. The body is no stranger to awakening. It is an essential part of the process. In this message, we'll explore 11 physical signs that indicate you're no longer inhabiting the old vibration. 11 ways your body speaks to you from your soul, trying to tell you that the process has already begun. Many people ignore them. Others suffer in silence, believing they're sick. And a few, like you, are beginning to suspect there's something else going on. Don't worry. You're here because you're ready to understand them on another level, because your soul wants you to remember, and your body has already begun to reveal it to you. Each of these signs will be like a piece of a puzzle. Some you'll recognize immediately. Others will make you think. And one, number 11, is the most intense of all. It's the one many mistake for pain or confusion, but in reality, it's the definitive sign that you're crossing the threshold into the fifth dimension. So, stay until the end. Not only to identify what's happening to you, but to honor it, integrate it, and transform it into wisdom. Because awakening isn't a goal. It's a deep, intimate, and luminous journey. If you already feel something shifting in your body and energy, write in the comments, "Yes, I'm ready." Affirming this is a way to consciously open space for your evolution. You are not alone, you are awakening. And this is just the first revelation. One of the first physical signs of spiritual awakening manifests in the form of subtle vibrations that run through your body. They begin almost imperceptibly, like a gentle electric current that appears for no reason in the palms of your hands, the soles of your feet, or along your spine. There's no obvious external stimulus, no clear physical cause, and yet, there they are. Pulsations, tingles, internal buzzings that arise especially when you're at rest, in silence, meditating, or even just before sleeping. These sensations, far from being random, are silent proof that your body has begun to act as a spiritual antenna. When you vibrate at higher frequencies, your auric field, the subtle energy that surrounds your body, begins to expand. This field, which remains contracted or inactive in lower dimensions, is reactivated with awakening. And like an invisible network of light, it begins to receive, process, and transmit energetic information in real time. The vibrations you feel are part of that process, a kind of vibrational adjustment that occurs so you can withstand and contain new frequencies. It's as if your system were being recalibrated, and every cell in your body were responding to that update. The hands, for example, are channels of natural energy. Many healers, without even having been trained, discover that when they place their hands on someone, they feel warmth or a pulsation. The soles of the feet, on the other hand, are connected to the energy of the earth. When they begin to vibrate or tingle, it's a sign that you're beginning to establish a conscious connection with the physical plane from a spiritual perspective. And the spine is the main antenna. It's the axis where the main energy points, chakras, are located. And it is through it that the light ascends and descends when the soul begins to awaken. These vibrations are not cause for alarm. They are a gift. They indicate that your body is no longer operating solely in physical mode. It is awakening its energetic intelligence. It is tuning itself like an instrument that needs to be precise to capture the new music of the universe. The more present these sensations are, the closer you are to aligning with your purpose and your true nature. It's not your imagination, it's real. And if you listen carefully, these vibrations can become your internal compass. Imagine yourself completely calm, sitting, relaxed, without stress or physical overexertion. Suddenly, a wave of warmth begins to flow through your body from within, as if a silent flame were ignited in your chest, back, or face. It's not a fever, there's no illness, and yet the warmth is there, deep, enveloping, alive. Moments later, that inner fire disappears and is replaced by an icy breeze that rises at the nape of your neck or runs down your spine. You wonder if it's something hormonal, if you're unbalanced, but a part of you already senses that what you're feeling isn't ordinary. When the soul begins to vibrate in tune with higher frequencies, the body must translate this new energy. And it does so through the nervous system, which acts as a bridge between the spiritual and physical worlds. Heat waves, in this context, are not a malfunction. They are energetic discharges that indicate your body is processing a higher vibrational intensity. These are moments when your spiritual channel opens and your biology responds as it can, with heat, internal pressure, or sudden sweating for no logical reason. Cold is also a form of energetic manifestation. Many people feel it when they are receiving a revelation, a vision, or even a nearby spiritual presence. The body shudders, and a chill runs through the skin as if something invisible were caressing it. This cold is not the absence of energy, but its sudden condensation. It is the body's response when it adjusts to a more subtle, higher frequency that it cannot yet fully integrate. It is the soul's way of telling you, I am here. I am awakening. Listen to me. These thermal shifts can occur during meditation, prayer, being in contact with nature, or even in moments of deep introspection. They also occur spontaneously, as if the body knows it's being calibrated, even if the mind doesn't understand why. The important thing is not to fear them. It's not an imbalance, but an adjustment. You are ceasing to be merely matter, and are beginning to inhabit the body as a channel of living light. Your internal temperature no longer responds solely to the weather or your environment. It responds to your frequency. You're receiving information through your body, and you feel that information. You're not sick. You're changing. You're preparing to live from a different vibration. If you've also experienced these sudden, unexplained temperature changes, share your experience in the comments. Every surge of heat and every silent shiver is part of your spiritual ascent. One of the most disconcerting signs of spiritual awakening is also one of the most intimate. It occurs in complete silence when everything is still, and suddenly a high-pitched ringing appears in one or both ears. It's not coming from the environment. No one else hears it. It's like a persistent tone that appears out of nowhere and disappears just as mysteriously. Sometimes it's high-pitched, like a distant whistle. Other times it's deeper or intermittent. Some feel it during moments of meditation, others while lying down, and many experience it for no apparent reason in the midst of any daily activity. These types of sounds are not related to a common hearing condition, such as clinical tinnitus. In a spiritual context, these ringing sounds represent the opening of the inner ear, also known as the spiritual ear. When you begin to align with the fifth dimension, your physical senses are amplified to receive nonverbal information, and the auditory channel is one of the first to be activated. What you are hearing are not external sounds, but vibrational frequencies that your body begins to pick up from more subtle planes. These sounds act as signals. They are downloads of energetic information that bypass logical thought, but go directly to the soul's energy field. In other words, they are light codes that enter the auditory canal as frequencies, not as words. And even if you don't understand them intellectually, a deep part of you, the awakened part, does recognize them. Sometimes, after one of these sounds, you have a clear idea, a sense of certainty, a sudden emotion. It's the soul responding to a call that the body is just beginning to interpret. It's important to pay attention to when these sounds occur. They often coincide with key moments in your process. Just before an important decision, during a revelatory dream, when receiving a sign from the universe, or while sensing the presence of a spiritual being. It's not a coincidence. It's a connection. You're tuning yourself like a celestial instrument. And the first thing to be tuned is the listen. Don't panic or try to turn off what you're hearing. Instead, take a deep breath, pay attention, and ask yourself, what message is coming to me now? You may not get the answer in words, but your soul will have already received it. Help us reach more people with this message. Like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments what spiritual signs you've experienced, because sharing this process can illuminate the path for someone else, who may also be silently hearing the call. Sometimes, without warning, you begin to feel a persistent discomfort in your upper back, an uncomfortable stiffness in your neck, or even a stabbing pain in your joints. You go to the doctor, undergo examinations, tests, and everything seems fine. There's no visible inflammation, no apparent injury, no convincing physical explanation. And yet, the pain persists. It's as if something inside you is demanding attention, but from a place science can't yet explore. If this has happened to you, you're not alone. And most importantly, you're not imagining anything. You're releasing memories. During the process of spiritual awakening, the body begins to release old burdens that have been stored for years or even entire lifetimes. These burdens are not only emotional or mental, they are also energetic. They are stored in the tissues, muscles, and bones. And when the soul begins to elevate its frequency toward the fifth dimension, these memories begin to emerge and be released. What was previously dormant now awakens in the form of tension, pain, or localized discomfort. The neck and back are particularly sensitive areas, as they are directly related to your ability to carry what you're carrying. Often, the pain you feel isn't yours. It comes from an older version of yourself that hasn't yet been forgiven, or even from a wound inherited from your family lineage. Other times, it's the manifestation of an energetic blockage that has prevented energy from flowing freely. Pain, then, isn't punishment, it's opening. It's your body trying to open paths that have been closed for years. Joints are also key points. They represent the flexibility with which you move through life. When they hurt, they often reveal internal resistance to change, fear of letting go of control, or a lack of confidence in the process of transformation. But when you choose to observe that pain from the soul and not from fear, something begins to dissolve. The physical gives way to the energetic. The symptom becomes a symbol. It's important not to judge yourself for feeling tired, stiff, or in pain for no apparent reason. You are going through a deep purification process. It's not just healing of the body, it's healing of the soul through the body. And every ache is a door that opens to a lighter, more conscious, freer version of yourself. Sleep, once a refuge of deep and prolonged rest, begins to mysteriously transform when the soul enters the process of awakening. Perhaps you've noticed, you can no longer sleep like you used to. You wake up at the same time every night, 2:22, 3:33, 4:44, and when you look at the clock, something inside you stirs. This isn't simple sleep interruptions, nor insomnia caused by stress. It's something deeper, more spiritual. It's as if the universe is calling you just at the moments when the veil between worlds is at its thinnest. Waking up at mirror hours is a classic sign of spiritual activation. At those times, your soul isn't inactive. It's fully connected to higher planes. What is an interruption for the mind is an opportunity for the soul, a chance to receive messages, to remember pacts, to align your energy with higher frequencies. Sometimes you don't understand why you feel so awake in the middle of the night, but if you observe closely, you'll see that in those minutes of silence, there is a strange peace, an invisible presence, a sacred whisper that can only be heard when everything else has faded away. Dreams also change. They become more vivid, more symbolic, more intense. You dream of unfamiliar places, beings of light, fractals from your past, or situations that don't seem to make sense. But when you wake up, they leave you with a profound feeling of having experienced something real. Sometimes you wake up crying, other times with a certainty, or even with your body trembling with energy. These experiences are not an invention of your mind. They are part of a soul training that occurs while your physical body rests. In this process, it's also common for the need for long sleep to decrease. Even if your body gets tired, you feel like you've already rested enough with just a short amount of sleep. This happens because your energy system is changing the way it recharges. You no longer need just physical rest. Now your soul feeds on vibration, light, and energy. And the dream becomes a multi-dimensional platform from which your spirit travels, learns, and remembers. So, if you feel like your sleep has changed profoundly, don't see it as a problem. See it as a clear sign that something bigger is happening within you. The soul is activated when the body sleeps, and you are beginning to remember it. There comes a time in the process of spiritual awakening when the senses suddenly become more acute. What once seemed tolerable now becomes unbearable. A high-pitched noise, a fast-paced conversation, a stimulating crowd, everything that once went unnoticed now overwhelms you. You feel that something within you can no longer sustain that load, and what many would call excessive sensitivity is actually a clear sign. Your body has begun to tune into more subtle frequencies. You are no longer vibrating as before, and your perception now captures the invisible. The light also changes. Artificial lights, intense screens, or environments saturated with visual energy make you uncomfortable. Your eyes seem to tire more quickly, and you need to seek out spaces with natural light, soft ambiance, and harmonious colors. This isn't a physical weakness, it's an energetic transformation. You're learning to see with a different perspective, one that not only detects shapes, but also vibrations. And when the energy of a place or a person is altered, you feel it in your body. Sometimes as pressure in your chest, a knot in your stomach, or sudden fatigue. You also become more receptive to the emotions of others. You can walk into a room and feel tension without anyone saying a word. You detect someone's sadness even when they're smiling. You sense the energy of a place even when it seems orderly. This emotional sensitivity isn't a curse, it's an expanding gift. Your auric field has opened, and you now act like a radar that picks up what others can't yet translate. That's why many awakened people need moments of solitude, silence, and connection with nature. It's not isolation, it's preserving their new frequency. It's important for you to understand that this hypersensitivity is temporary, but it's also sacred. Your body is learning to differentiate between what nourishes it and what drains it. You are tuning yourself like an instrument, and like any delicate instrument, you need care, harmonious spaces, and pure energy to vibrate properly. The world will continue to be noisy, intense, and hectic. But you are no longer that. You have begun to inhabit another rhythm. One of the most profound and least understood signs of spiritual awakening is the transformation in your relationship with food. Suddenly, things you once thoroughly enjoyed, such as meat, dairy, or processed foods, begin to generate a kind of natural rejection. You no longer like them, they no longer provoke you, or you even feel physical discomfort when consuming them. Your palate changes, your body resists them, and without realizing it, you begin to prefer lighter, fresher, more natural foods. This isn't a fad or a suggestion, it's an energetic reprogramming. You are nourishing yourself on a different level. Meat, having a denser vibration due to its origin and emotional charge, is one of the first to be rejected by a body that begins to vibrate in the fifth dimension. It's not about judgments or rules, but rather about feeling how it affects your energetic field. The body no longer seeks satiety, it seeks lightness. It wants to feel fluid, light, clean. Therefore, without anyone telling you, you begin to gravitate toward fruits, raw vegetables, natural juices, infusions, and pure water. Everything that is alive, everything that is filled with direct sunlight calls to you more strongly. There are also periods when you simply aren't hungry, not because you're sick, but because you're being nourished from the subtle. The body demands fasting, digestive rest, and internal silence. In those moments, there's no need to force yourself to eat. Trust. The soul is absorbing energy directly from the quantum field, and the physical body is simply accompanying this process. Even water takes on a new meaning. You don't just need it to hydrate, but it becomes a means of energetically purifying yourself. You drink more water, and you feel clearer, more aligned, more connected. These dietary changes are also accompanied by greater intuition. You begin to feel which foods nourish you and which ones poison you, beyond what the labels or calories say. Food stops being just pleasure or routine and transforms into a tool for spiritual expansion. You eat to vibrate. You eat to sustain your frequency. And when you don't eat, it's because you're being nourished by other sources: light, love, consciousness. Don't resist these changes. Honor what your body is asking of you. It knows what it needs to sustain the new energy you're experiencing. You're being reprogrammed not only in your mind, but in every cell, and your diet is an essential part of that awakening. One of the most subtle yet powerful signs of spiritual awakening occurs in the upper part of your body, in areas we rarely associate with energetic shifts: the forehead and crown of the head. You may, without warning, begin to feel a slight pressure just between your eyebrows or a swelling at the top of your head. Sometimes it manifests as a gentle tingling, other times as an internal pulse, as if something were pulsing from within. It's not pain, but it's not a common sensation either. It's different and deeply meaningful. These physical manifestations are related to the activation of two key energy centers: the third eye chakra, located between the eyebrows, and the crown chakra, located at the top of the skull. The former is linked to intuition, subtle perception, and spiritual vision. The latter is linked to the direct connection to the quantum field, to source, to the divine. When both begin to open, the body immediately perceives it. Not because your organs are failing, but because you are activating channels that were previously dormant. Pressure in your forehead is a sign that your perception is changing. You begin to see beyond the visible. You intuit truths without needing proof. You receive images, memories, or internal messages without knowing how they arrived. This isn't fantasy. It's the third eye showing you that there is another way of knowing, one that doesn't involve logic but rather consciousness. This sensitivity can intensify during meditation, in moments of deep silence, or after heightened emotional experiences. The sensation at the crown of your head, on the other hand, is one of the most sacred. It's where your soul connects with higher dimensions. Some describe it as a descending energy, like a subtle shower of light. Others describe it as a gentle warmth that rises up your spine and expands into your head. When this happens, you are receiving information directly from the quantum field. You don't need to understand it with words, just allow it to enter. Because that energy contains wisdom that your soul knows how to decode. Don't ignore these sensations. Don't associate them with tension or fatigue. Instead, observe them as a gift. They mean you're opening to a higher way of existing. Your body is no longer merely physical, it's now a channel of connection between dimensions. You're seeing from the soul. You're remembering who you are. There are times when your heart feels like it's bursting out of your chest. Sudden palpitations, unexpected accelerations, a feeling of gentle pressure or warm expansion in the center of your chest. Maybe you're not running or under stress, but your heart starts pounding. Sometimes you even feel it's beating to the rhythm of something invisible, something you don't fully understand, but you know it's coming from somewhere else. And the first thing you think is, am I okay? Yes, you're more than fine. You're in the process of opening your heart chakra. This energy center, located in the center of the chest, is the bridge between the earthly and the spiritual. It is the portal where matter and soul, human love and universal love, unite. When it is activated, deep, ancient, and sometimes even unknown emotions begin to emerge. Not because you are provoking them, but because they are being released. The soul, vibrating higher, needs to make room for unconditional love. And to do that, you must first release the stored pain. Palpitations are part of that adjustment. Your body is telling you, I am beginning to truly feel. During this phase, you may experience episodes of extreme sensitivity, crying for no reason, deep compassion for others, or a feeling of being connected to all that exists. You may also relive intense emotional memories, not to relive them, but to heal them from a new perspective. Heart energy is like this. It doesn't seek punishment, it seeks liberation. It doesn't want you to repeat the past, it wants you to transcend it. The physical heart, being an extremely sensitive electromagnetic organ, responds immediately to energetic changes. Therefore, when it receives new vibrational information, especially when the quantum field of the soul is activated, its rhythm is altered. It's not a medical condition if there's no history of it. Rather, it's a spiritual condition. You're learning to feel again. And feeling in the fifth dimension is much more than a reaction. It's a way of being. If you've ever felt your heart race for no reason, or something inside your chest expand as if it were about to burst into light, don't be afraid. Breathe. You are opening yourself to deep love, the kind that doesn't need to be explained, the kind that is simply recognized because it comes from the source. It is the heart of your soul remembering its purpose. Are you feeling these signs? Share this video with someone who needs it, because maybe someone else is feeling the same thing but doesn't yet know that what's happening to them is a calling from the soul. Perhaps you've felt that, for no apparent reason, your energy simply fades away. You're fine, you haven't exerted yourself physically, your mind is clear. But suddenly, a feeling of profound exhaustion takes hold of you, as if your body needed to stop immediately. Some describe it as a heaviness that forces them to sit down, lie down, or sleep for several hours without warning. And the most disconcerting thing is that this tiredness doesn't improve with coffee, external motivation, or even the passage of time. It's a kind of fatigue that doesn't come from the body, it comes from the soul in the midst of its renewal. During spiritual awakening, the body needs to integrate higher frequencies that weren't present before. And this process doesn't only occur on an emotional or mental level, it's physical. Every cell, every system, every fiber of your being needs to readjust to sustain a brighter, more coherent, and higher energy. It's as if an internal system is being rewired while you try to continue with your routines. And even if you don't see it, this invisible work requires an enormous amount of vital energy. Spiritual fatigue appears especially after moments of expansion. For example, after a deep meditation, an intense emotional experience, a revelatory dream, or even after seeing or hearing a message that resonates with your soul. In those moments, consciousness expands, and the body demands rest to adapt to what the soul has just received. It's like an internal reboot. And in that reboot, it's not possible to continue at the same pace. You have to let go, pause, and allow. This type of tiredness isn't weakness. It's a sign that you're moving away from autopilot. Your body no longer responds solely to external logic. It responds to your internal vibration. If your frequency rises rapidly, your body reacts. And it often does so by disconnecting from the outside world for a moment so it can refresh itself from within. Honoring that need is part of the new spiritual path. Resting isn't giving in, it's integrating. Don't fight that fatigue. Listen to it. It's a silent call from your energy system telling you, we're installing something new. Wait for us. Allow yourself to sleep more if necessary, or walk more slowly, or simply be still. You are being reborn, and that requires energy. What you now feel as exhaustion is actually the space your soul needs to fully inhabit you. There are times when you simply can't contain what you're feeling. Tears come without warning, sometimes for a thought, sometimes for nothing in particular. Other times, a feeling of anxiety takes hold of you without any logical explanation. Your heart races, your breath becomes short, and inside, something seems to be breaking. Perhaps you've experienced this recently, and you ask yourself, am I losing control? Am I falling into a state of emotional instability? The answer, although it may seem contradictory, is no. You're not falling, you're purifying. During spiritual awakening, the soul begins to release everything that cannot accompany it to the next stage of its evolution. Fears, unresolved grief, ancestral guilt, forgotten traumas. Everything begins to emerge like a tide that can no longer be contained. Not because you're unwell, but because you're being cleansed. The emotions that surface are not there to punish you. They are there to free you. Every tear shed, every labored sigh, every knot in the chest is part of a profound spiritual reconfiguration. Anxiety, in this context, isn't necessarily an enemy. It's often the body's natural reaction when faced with an expansion it can't understand. It's as if your internal structures collapse to make way for a new consciousness. And of course, that creates tension. But it's not destruction. It's transformation. The soul, when it soars, needs to empty itself of everything that impedes its flight. And that emptying hurts. But it's also soothing. It also heals. Crying for no reason is one of the most powerful tools for spiritual purification. When you cry from the soul, without repression or judgment, you are allowing the old to dissolve. What was fear to transform into compassion? What was pain to become wisdom? Many awakened people find that these episodes of crying appear in the most sacred moments, when listening to a melody, when looking at the sky, when hugging someone deeply, and it's because the soul, at last, feels free to feel without filters, to be vulnerable, to surrender to the divine. Don't stop. Don't hide. Don't judge yourself. If you're going through these emotional waves, it's because you're clearing your path. You are leaving behind a limited version of yourself and making room for a purer, more conscious, more luminous existence. After going through all these signs, one truth becomes evident. You are not sick. You are awakening. Every vibration, every change, every inexplicable sensation your body has manifested is not a coincidence or a senseless imbalance. It is a language. It is the silent language of the soul, which has finally begun to express itself through the temple that sustains it, your body. For a long time, we saw it as a prison, as an obstacle to connecting with the divine. But the reality is very different. The body is not a limitation. It is the sacred vehicle that allows you to cross dimensions. The transformation toward the fifth dimension doesn't occur only in consciousness. It's not an abstract process. It's physical. It's felt. It's embodied. It manifests in the form of adjustments, cleansings, crises, and sensory awakenings that, if observed with love rather than fear, reveal the depth of the change we are undergoing. Your body, far from betraying you, is accompanying you with absolute fidelity on this journey back to truth. It's doing everything it can to sustain a vibration it has never experienced before, and it's succeeding. You no longer vibrate the same. You know it. You feel it. The things you once tolerated no longer fit you. People, places, thoughts, even your old habits begin to fade because they no longer resonate with the energy you are beginning to inhabit. It's not that the world has suddenly changed. It's you who has changed. Your perception, your sensitivity, your frequency, everything has begun to align with a higher truth. And that truth is written in your soul, but also on your skin, in your heartbeat, in your breathing, in your tears. This is the moment to honor your body like never before, to thank it for every sign, every symptom, every sleepless night, every unexplainable chill, because it was through it that your soul was able to say, I am here. I am crossing over. The body not only belongs to you, it is a part of you. And together, you and it are doing something immense. You are ascending. Not toward heaven, but toward a more real, more loving state of consciousness, more connected to the eternal. Share this video with someone who is also experiencing these changes. Maybe they need to understand that what's happening to them is the beginning of their awakening. And if you know deep down this message was for you, write in the comments, I accept my transformation. Because your body already knows, and your soul has already decided.